Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, automotive enthusiasts from all around the planet Earth, you let your fingers do the walking one more time and you hit play on yet another...
Kevin, another auspicious episode of V8 Radio.
Auspicious. That's kind of like suspicious, but in awe at the same time.
Correct.
Auspice? What? I don't even know what I really don't know what auspicious means.
Conducive to success, sir.
That's why I don't know what it means. Fantastic. All right. Well, hey, welcome to an episode of V8 Radio that is conducive to success. I'm your host, Kevin Ostie, joined as always by our esteemed co-host, Mr. Mike Huball Clark, and a very special guest, our good friend, Mr. Paul Wieshuber.
I don't know if I'm a guest. I don't know if I'm special, other than
well, your mom said so.
Well, my mom says I'm special, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't feel as though I'm in the same league as a lot of the guys you have on here, but thank you for having me on nonetheless. Since I always listen to this podcast, but reply to you guys, but you never hear me. So finally, you're going to be able to hear me when you guys have your conversation.
It was like watching Romper Room as a kid, as she called out the names. And
especially when you're doing the Fiero trivia, and I'm screaming at my radio. Come on.
You know what's scary?
Everybody knows.
You make Fiero's trivia sound like a regular thing.
Well, it was on twice.
It kind of is,
Come on.
So our good friend, Mr. Brian Wibbenmeyer, parts guy from V8 Speed and Resto, is currently on the Hot Rod Power Tour, and he sent me a picture from the tour of somebody who brought a matched pair of Fieros.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, so we could assign each one of them a trivia question from our library.
Right on.
And speaking of automotive trivia questions, for those of you, namely Paul, who listens to this show periodically, you know that we start each episode with an automotive trivia question, and we reveal the answer at the end of the show. It's our way of luring people into listening to the whole thing. So, Paul, did you prepare a trivia question for this episode?
I did some show prep, yes. I yelled into my AI machine. I said, I need trivia. And it spit something out.
We didn't.
I came across this interesting nugget, and I thought it was pretty fitting for the show. So I ask you, what is the oldest surviving American auto brand? And for a bonus, who founded it and what year was it founded?
Wow. This has Mike Huball Clark written all over it.
Oh, boy, does it. All right, what is the oldest surviving auto brand? And what was the rest of that?
Who founded it?
Who founded
it? And what year was it founded?
Oh, boy. Well, the go-to answer would be Ford. And because I don't have anything else, I'm going to say Ford. Formed in 1902 and by Henry Ford.
Mm-hmm.
That's all wrong, but that's the only thing I got. So thanks for that, Paul.
You're welcome. Am I supposed to write this down, or you have this covered?
Well, I'll cover it.
There you go. It's one of the services we provide here at VA Radio.
Right.
I appreciate you.
Secretarial services. You're welcome.
Okay, oldest American car brand, not truck or automotive, just car or what?
Auto brand, yeah, car.
Auto brand. All right. I do like that Ford thing, and Ford had their 100th anniversary in 2003, 100 before that, somewhere around there. But Mike already said that, so I'll say something different. Gosh, part of me wants to say Cadillac, but then I'm not so sure. Dodge Brothers, maybe? Dodge. I'm going to say Dodge just because this is getting old, and it's going to be 1901 Dodge.
All right. I get to say duly noted.
Nice.
You do.
But I'm the one who noted it. God dang it.
All right. Mr. Q, do you have a trivia question?
Indeed I do. All right, fellas. You know, temperatures are climbing and people are driving the classic cars. And one of the nice creature comforts to have in said classic is air conditioning. So my question to y'all is, what was the first car to have AC as standard equipment? And for the bonus, what was the model? So the first car company to have standard AC in one of their models, what was that model? for the bonus.
Yeah, this is a great one for Paul.
Yeah, sure
It
is,
is.
Paul.
It is.
Mhm.
Since I have no idea.
Oh, Billy. Duly
Well,
noted.
I too am going to say, I guess I'm going to say, I was about to say it, but now I'm doubting it. I'm going to say Cadillac, and I will say the Coupe de Ville.
All right, Mr. Kevin.
Do I need a year? I couldn't tell you a year.
I mean, if you want to throw a year out, I'll take
How
it.
about 55? If there's even a Cadillac. 55.
Was there a Cadillac in 55?
Yeah, that's next week's trivia question.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to say it was a product of the Packard Motor Car Company, and it was from 1953, and it was a Packard Caribbean.
Caribbean.
That sounds
Gets
very
hot in the
confident.
Caribbean,
Nice.
but not anymore. See, now if I was writing ads, could you imagine?
Oh, boy.
It's hot in the Caribbean, but not anymore.
But not
Not in my Packard Caribbean.
cool breezes in my Packard Caribbean.
That's right.
He's an ad force to be reckoned with.
That's
Right. Right.
He's an ad hole. That's just a deep, never-ending source. Okay, so that was my final answer.
Dig it. Duly noted, sir.
All right, I have also prepared a trivia question. No doubt you gentlemen know what a camshaft is.
Mm-hmm.
And no doubt you've heard of a performance camshaft. You might have even heard of a race camshaft.
Ooh.
And even somebody referred to a three-quarter race camshaft.
Only in the 80s.
My question to you is, what is a quarter speed camshaft?
Ooh.
Oh, what? I said that.
A quarter speed cam.
Quarter speed cam.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, since you're our guest, I'm going to let you go ahead and field this one first.
The first thing that pops into my mind to not cause a painful drag out is that it is for high speed in the quarter mile. Top speed in the quarter mile, not best time.
Like a quarter horse.
Like a quarter horse.
Nice.
Boy, all right.
That reduced your options right there, Mr. Cue Ball.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. Appreciate that.
Hey,
buddy.
you told me to go first, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
I didn't tell you to take my answers. Jeez Louise.
Hey, live by the second, die by the second.
Fair enough. All right, so what was a quarter speed cam? Okay, that was... Oh, heavens to Betsy. That was used in NASCARs to allow for higher RPMs to prevent valve float. So it was a specially constructed cam to allow for higher RPMs to prevent valve float down the super speedway back straight.
Wow. Can you write all that down for me?
I got it all in my head, man.
I was hung up on the
guess it-
NASCARs. That's used by the NASCARs.
But the NASCARs over by there.
Yeah, we're at the
You
Who
don't
in
want
the
a
NASCAR
6-speed
drove that car by that?
All right, so
Since you write the
Camshaft
answer down, well,
design-
you can answer. You can change your answer.
well, I'm not going to remember. So,
You can say
Designed
anything.
to-
I'm like, yeah, sure.
Sure.
designed to reduce valve train
You know,
What
like
did you
valve
say?
float. It reduces
stress, if you will.
Yeah, stress, valve float, because it's
Okay.
a slower speed but higher RPM.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer. By golly, let's do this thing.
All right. Well, here we go. You'll find out at the end of the show. It'll be amazing. Trust me.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why we wanted to have Paul back on the show is Paul has a 1962 Buick Electra convertible that has a whole bunch of stories on its own. This was a car that was not originally purchased in 62, but purchased in the 90s by David Freiberger and Rob Canan at Carcraft magazine at the time. And it kind of languished for a while. Paul ended up buying it. It languished some more. But today, a couple of years ago, it made its triumphant return to the American highways. And today, you've even tuned it up even more. So the pictures you were sending over, you've done a lot of work, and it looks great.
Thank you. I mean, well, first of all, we need to give credit where credit is due. Thank you to V8 Speed and Resto for taking it from half of a car to a completely running car. So there's the first appreciation there, obviously. So that's
it was a fun project.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear you guys enjoyed it because it was great to have it running. But there was a lot of things missing, trim and a number of items, which I finally was able to find: the rocker trim, the trim along the fender lips, the top below the windshield, and then around the wiper blades and at the base of the hood. So all that chrome and trim has finally been added, so it looks complete. There's no more big ugly gaping holes on the outside.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Looks so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
Before 100%. It was just a yellow monolithic kind of slab of car.
With what Freiberger dubbed the world's ugliest paint job.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, but you know what? I think it is Daytona yellow. I think it's real close to that anyway. And it's a good color when it's put up against chrome and polished stainless.
Yeah. Yes.
And so when the trim went back on it, all of a sudden, I mean, Buick probably never would have sold that car in that color.
No.
But they could have, when it's all complete with the white top, and the black interior. It looks sweet.
Oh yeah, when I got the chrome on it, and well, first of all, again, thank you, Kevin, because you rubbed it out. I think you clayed it and put some wax on it, and really got the shine of the paint coming out. But by having, especially the chrome that goes along the lip below the top of the front to back along the fender, that whole body line that goes front to back, really broke it up, made a huge difference. So,
and finding that stuff was a little bit of a challenge.
I looked for the chrome that went along the fender, door, and quarter. It took me about 15 years to find that.
Holy cats.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't looking every single day. Whenever I would think about it, I would Google it. And yeah, because that chrome only fits the 62 convertible. You can't just get the two-door hardtop. And certainly not the four-door. So yeah, it was a nightmare finding another convertible that somebody was parting out that had good chrome. Because every once in a while, I come across one on eBay where somebody was parting out a hardtop, or they had a convertible, but it was already gone. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that Freiberger chucked it somewhere. Freiberger.
Yeah, thanks, Freiberger.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dave.
But I'm sure at the time it had no value, so I can appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it took me a long time, and then I finally found it was missing the stuff at the base of the windshield. Wasn't too hard. Actually, the one I found was from an Impala, because it's the same windshield off of 60 Impala, so I bought one from an Impala. But then again, the one under the bottom, under that goes into the base of the hood, there's the chrome under the base of the hood, and then there's the little corners that fit where the headlights fit. That was just any Invicta or LeSabre would do. So I finally found a guy. He was selling the headlight buckets, and he had a picture of it. So it's a place called DH Classics, and I reached out to him like, "Hey, I don't want the headlights, but can you sell me this stuff?"
Hey,
so
DH.
Hey, DH. But yeah, he was a nice guy. So he sold me that, and I think I saw the background that he also had the chrome that goes around the base of the windshield wipers. So I got that from that guy. So yeah, so now with all that on, it looks really nice. It's beautiful. So,
but then you did a bunch of stuff inside too.
Yes, I did, because it had somebody cut the radio out of it with like a dull like lopper from a tree. I don't know what the hell they were doing.
A pole saw.
It's like, can you do this any more worse than you? Unbelievable. So like the circles go, they were cut out, throughout, bent, all messed up. So I spent about a month and a half first hammering it straight, and then surrounding what should be the rest of it with wax paper and toothpicks, and making basically molds out of it and filling it in with epoxy with JB Weld, of course. What else? Mm-hmm. What other good industrious young man would use anything other than JB Weld?
Credit.
Yeah. So what's that?
Credit. Yeah. Nicely done.
Thank you. So I think I sent you guys the pictures after I had it all done and painted up, and it was about 8 out of 10, I would say. So I was able to finally picked up a radio from Custom Auto Sound per your guys' recommendation, and added the ancient Alpine amp from our buddy Mark Ganowski. So I've got that under the dash. along with the pair of Infinity 6x9 speakers that are in the back. So got that rocking.
Yes.
So we got tunes in it, and that harken all the way back to. So that's a funny story. Well, you should tell that story because I bought that. Well, I don't even remember how it goes. How I ended up with that with an amplifier. You told
the
me.
amplifier?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So here's a great story, right? In the early '90s, we were all into car audio, but none of us had any money to actually have any. But we always, we love music and we love cruising, and we always liked rock and roll concerts and big sound. But only one of our friends had enough money to have a decent system in his car. And he's our buddy Mark. And he had an 87 Monte Carlo SS. I've talked about this car in the past. I lament this car. I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Beautiful.
And he had a pair of 12-inch Hollywood Sound Lab subs in the back. And he had these just killer Infinity Kappa plate speakers in the doors. It was a 6-inch round with a 1-inch dome tweeter, and then he had a pair of Infinity Kappa 6x9s in the back shelf, and he had some Rockford Fosgate amps and an Alpine 7960, I think, CD player in dash, and it sounded it was great. And he also, bought a lot of CDs, and this is like hairband era, so stuff was recorded really well, and it was just a shimmering rock concert in this car, all summer long, T-tops off. It was just a great time. So, again, Paul and I and some of our other friends didn't have the resources that he did to put audio together, so we kind of piecemeal little things here and there. But I remember I bought that Alpine amp new from United Audio in Chicago, Niles, Illinois, and it's like a 35 by 2. It's not real big, but it's it was a good little amp. So, I don't know, the next year we're away at college, and Paul and I both went to Illinois State University for a while at the same time, as did a friend of ours whose nickname was Gary. And, priorities change, and I needed money somewhere. So one year in the fall, I ended up hawking that amplifier at the local pawn shop to buy beer money or something. I don't know, pay books or bill. I don't know.
Priorities,
books. It was
man.
books. Definitely
Yeah,
books.
definitely books.
Definitely
Yeah.
books.
Yeah. So I hack this thing, and you know me. I like documentation and I like paperwork and all that stuff, and that's a little detail in the story. So the next year, we go back to school, back at Illinois State, and I'm talking with our roommate Gary. And Gary has an Escort. Remember the blue Escort?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got,
Hot car.
he's got an audio system in it. And he's like, "Hey, Ostie, I just put this amp in the car." And I'm like, "Oh, I used to have one of those." And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool." Well, you ended up buying that amplifier from Gary,
Right.
and one day I'm in your dorm or your apartment room. We shared an apartment at school, and I see the box, and I open the box, and there's the receipt from when I bought it new.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we had no idea it was the same amp. We just thought it was
So I
the same
bought
model,
it,
but
hocked
literally the
it.
same
Gary
one.
bought it from the pawn shop, and then sold it to Paul, and then my original receipt with my credit card number and everything.
You should say, "Sorry, Paul, I bought it. This is my amp.
It's
I have the receipt."
still in the box, yeah. And now it's in your Buick.
Now it's in my Buick because I never used it because it was supposed to go in the Nova, but the Nova was a billion pieces, and then it,
Oh, that's
That's an
killer.
ether.
So
Yeah,
it kind of
so-
stayed in the family. That's great.
stayed in the family. Exactly. Yeah. So
That's fantastic.
It really
yeah.
is.
So now it's running those 6x9 because I bought the speakers from
The
Gdansk
speakers
too,
you
the
got from
6x9
Mark,
Infinities.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
from
those
Mark.
came out of the Monte Carlo.
They came out of the Monte Carlo, and he gave them to me in the original box. And the original box and the amp have been sitting on a shelf in one place or another where I have lived. First Fort Wayne, then with Tommy gone on in Chicago, and then my house is in River Grove, and then finally here in Naperville. And I'm like, I finally have a radio to run these speakers on. And I open up the box, and all the glue is completely done, and it falls apart. And I'm like, and a light bulb goes off like, uh-oh. I haven't looked at these things in 25 years. Open them up,
Closer
and sure
to
enough,
30.
this 30, yeah, that's right. sure enough, I just look at them, and all of the speaker surround just goes and just turns to dust.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Completely dry rotted. And I'm like, this crowning moment, my speakers, I can finally use them. I've been waiting 30 years. And they're just,
no.
Wow.
So, yeah,
I believe that, though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So did you, you
I just went on.
them,
I went online and found a 6x9 refoam kit for like $25 and redid it. But it was just the high. Oh, come on. The high to low.
Dizzying highs, the staggering lows.
Exactly.
Now you got to wait even longer.
That would happen. So yeah, that was funny.
Here's something that is now just coming to me in this conversation, which is, I have to say, is pretty darn cool. Those were the speakers in that Monte Carlo. So that summer, when we were out partying and having a great time, those were there playing the stuff that we heard.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That amplifier was in my first 70 Riv, the red one.
Oh, no
and
kidding.
it provided the soundtrack for all the goofy times we had in that car. And now you've got both of them.
Wow.
Right,
that
is amazing.
To definitely get together and play some tunes and
Yeah. Wow.
hopefully not get stopped for having beer in the car, because I can't stand
Well, we might be able to talk our way out of it this time.
No, things have changed.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the history there. That's good to put all that together. That's really cool. That's awesome.
That's the authentic stuff. It was witness to all of our shenanigans.
Yeah, for sure. They don't make them like they used to. Probably make them better, but still they don't make them like they used to.
Well, those Infinities left a big impression on me, and I'm probably going to put a set of those plates that he had in my Galaxy in the doors, and there's better technology now and there's better stuff, but I just you like what you like.
Well, no, they sound good. I mean, they don't sound as good as they did in Mark's car, because right now I have them. I didn't want to permanently mount them after the nice interior job that the shop did a beautiful job. And I'm like, I'm not cutting a hole in the door. I'm not doing anything. So I just got standalone speaker boxes that mount them, and they're basically on the floor. And then whenever anybody's in the back seat, I can just slide them under the seats, and I just turn it up a little bit. So they don't, they're in a little sealed box. They sound a hell of a lot better than my little Bluetooth speaker that was sitting in the console.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I'm very
there's
happy.
a little bit of a nod to the high school, half-ass radio installs we did too. Where we just threw speakers on the back seat.
And
there you go. Now, did you get the integrated Bluetooth module for that radio?
I did. You know what? I didn't buy it from Custom Auto Sound because I think they have one. It comes as as an add-on.
Yeah, it's a box that plugs into their thing.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I just bought a standalone one for considerably less money. But
because that one's like $100, I think, that box.
Yeah, the one from their site is about $100, and I bought a cheap one, thinking, all right, if it makes noise, I'll buy a more expensive one. The one I bought was like $8.
That's cheap.
Nice.
But it gets the job done. It has a little bit of a hum, so I'm gonna try and run it straight to the. I'm gonna run it. I ran the amp straight off the battery power, so I'm gonna take the dash apart and run it off of, because right now it's tapped into the same power as the head unit. But so I get a little bit of hum. I don't get any hum on the head unit, but I do on this thing. So, but obviously with the top down, you can't hear anything. It doesn't really matter.
There's that. Yeah.
But there's something to be said for a clean signal into the speakers, when it's loud. So
I have that Bluetooth unit, the Custom Auto Sound version in my 70 Riv.
Okay.
And I have to say, at first I was like, really, it was like $110 or something. I'm like, that seems a lot. But that thing works really well. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I get near the car and it pairs to the phone right away, and you can take calls and it hears you, and the signal sound. So the Bluetooth on that sounds better than the broadcast or even an auxiliary input source on that. I don't know how they do it, but it sounds good.
Wow. Okay.
So if you're thinking about going that route, it is worth it.
Might be worth the investment. Yeah, like I said, I figured I'll try it cheap, and then if it gets the job done, otherwise I'll invest in quality stuff. So.
And then you did a bunch of work in the rest of the dash.
Yes, because not only did it have a hole for the radio, it had a hole for the clock. The clock never worked, and obviously the speedo. Well, not obviously, but the speedo never worked either. The speedo was always broken. So first I fixed the clock, and there's a company called Instrument Services Incorporated. They're outside of Rockford, and I found them online. I don't know if they were selling kits. I think on eBay, and it's a really straightforward kit. I think you used it too, Steve, but it was you pull the mechanical guts out. You take the clock apart, pull the hands off, the face off, and the mechanical movement comes off, and then you simply slide the quartz movement back in, and then put the hands back on it, and you're good to go. And I was pretty impressed with how kind of quick and easy it was. Really thorough instructions. They had a YouTube video that you could follow, so finally got the clock running. I needed a couple of extra pieces, like the little knob to actually, change the times. You could set the time.
Set knob, yeah.
Yeah, which I called them up and they had, so I bought a set from them. But then I'm like looking at my Speedo, and I'm like, hey, this thing hasn't worked in 28 years that I've had this stupid car. So,
oh man.
So I shipped it off to them in January, and they completely refurbished the whole Speedo for me. Got everything, because like the trip odometer wouldn't spin. You couldn't reset it. All the gears were hashed, and then the actual pointer was broken. It was missing. They cleaned it all up. I think they repainted the face, and it looks beautiful.
Cosmetic on the face too.
Yeah, a little bit. Nothing super awesome, but I mean, it was, I think they touched up a couple of spots and did a really, really nice job. So, yeah.
And where was that? Was that the same place?
It's the same place, yeah. Instrument, what did I say the first time?
Specialties?
Instrument Specialties Incorporated, out of Rockford. I'm trying to give them a plug, and here I'm screwing up their name.
Well, we got a rewind feature on this show. You can.
Yeah, all right, we'll go back.
Yeah.
They turned it around in about I think 8 weeks all in, so it was nice. So it took me a while to even check it to get it in the car to run it. So that was so like I sent you guys the video of the actual speedometer reading and the trip odometer actually turning when the car was driving, and it was like, and the clock is to the right time.
It's magic. Impressive.
Yeah, it's like having a brand new car again.
It is. It's surprising how those little things really top it off, because like last summer I'd be driving around and people come up, oh, hey, nice. And then look in the car and it's just this 2 giant gaping holes and, chrome's missing. You're like, I hate this.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And so it's nice to have the details, so.
The details are nice. And another thing that the reverse is also true, where when you or anybody else sees it and it's not working, it detracts, and it kind of it's a weird, like, subconscious little stressor. It's just one little thing that's agonizing, even if you don't acknowledge that it's agonizing. It's there,
right.
Oh
yeah, 100%.
And so my 70 Riv, the clock doesn't work. It works occasionally, and I've turned it into a little bit of a game, because like the other day I got behind the wheel and both hands were straight up at midnight.
Nice.
And it'll just fire up and change on its own every once in a while, and that's the original clock movement, which uses the points and the spring.
Oh yeah.
So the points are probably just dirty, and I could probably file them and clean them up, and it'll work again, because it still kind of functions. But if it was working all the time, you get behind the wheel and there's one less aggravator in front of you. It enhances your experience. So yeah, those little things are nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I fixed that clock and I cleaned up, I did the same thing. I did it all myself. I cleaned up the face, and polished the plastic glass cover thingamajig, whatever the heck it is, and just cleaned it all up. And I had a little battery that's supposed to power my my lawnmower, but all it needs is an amp. So plugged it in. It was like, look at that, the second hand is turning. This is so exciting. And like set it, and then in my basement, and came down the next day. It was like Christmas. I come down, it's on the right time. It's telling time.
Yeah. And your family thinks you've lost it.
Look at this.
Yeah. My daughter's like, what's wrong with you? My clock works.
I'm so happy.
It's supposed to work. It's a clock. It's supposed to tell time, Dad. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. Yeah, never mind. It's fine.
Well, the big question is, could your kids read it? Because that's a thing today.
Yeah.
We had a couple of high school kids that came to our shop and they looked at the clock on the wall and they said, "What time is it?" And I'm like, "We're looking at the clock right now, you and I together." "Yeah, but what time is it?" And I'm like, "You can't read that and you're like 15." We never taught it. I was like, "Oh my gosh." But
They
that's
learn
cool.
it, and then I think they forget it. But yeah, it's kind of sad.
Do you remember my parents bought me the clock that ran backwards? In my bedroom?
Dude, to this day, I can tell what time it is in a mirror, thanks to that stupid backwards clock. I swear to God, Osty has this clock that his mom got him, and it ran backwards, and all the numbers were counterclockwise.
Oh my
and
gosh!
It took me it flipped my brain around for a while, where I couldn't read a regular clock.
Oh no!
Right. Yeah.
Because you look at a regular clock, you're like, oh, it was like looking at a backwards clock. But now I could, like, I'll see a clock in the mirror and I'm like, oh yeah, that's 10 to 3. Like,
Who would have thought it would have given us superpowers? But yeah, I can read clocks backwards and forwards.
I think it happened to me one time when I was looked up in a clock in a mirror and I read it. People were like, wow, how did you do that? I'm like, long story.
I'm still trying to wonder what was going through my parents' head, when my mom bought me that thing. But,
Because they
let's screw this kid up even more.
They had you to mess with you, dude. That was the purpose of our parents' generation. We're gonna have kids and just mess with them.
Just screw with them, day in and day out.
100%. Yeah. I'm gonna mess with you or get out.
Right.
Yes.
Make them raise themselves.
Yeah.
And then one of the last things you just recently finished off was the cruise control.
Yes, sir. And so now that I had an actual, honest to God, speedometer with a speedometer cable, I could run the Dakota Digital cruise control because it has a little mini magnetic pickup that runs off of the speedo cable. So and I was able to get close enough with the gear in the driven gear off the speedometer that I'm about 4 miles an hour slow on the speedo, which is fine. But since I can get an actual honest to goodness input to the cruise, I last month installed their nice aftermarket cruise control on it. So and that thing, I got to say, is it's pretty trick. I mean, it took me a little bit to get it right, but it was just my stupidity. I didn't hook up. There's a tachometer cable that is supposed to see if the engine revs, and they say it's optional. And because I didn't connect it, it wasn't grounded. It wouldn't actually engage the cruise control. So as long as it was. Yeah. So I ran it to the coil, so I guess it's grounded. But even when I put it neutral, it doesn't kick it out. I don't think it's picking up the signal. But once I ran it to something so that thing had ground, it started holding a set speed. Yeah, but take a set speed. So, but that it goes in pretty straightforward. So, and I ran it. There wasn't any room because it's got the 204R jammed in the frame because it's got that X frame. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any space to put it's a little adapter that goes off the end of where the speedometer should thread into, and then the speedometer threads into it. So you need about 4 inches of clearance when it's all said and done. And there wasn't enough space. So what I did is I went and I bought a shorter speedometer cable, like a 3-footer, threaded it in, and then put the adapter, the generator, whatever, like halfway up in the, zip tied it, of course, to the side of the frame, and then ran another 3-foot cable into the car. So that was my solution to the problem. Yeah. So, and it worked out good. So
it's a nice feature.
Yes. Yeah. It's really nice. And of course, I found a nice spot on the dash, which seemed to be awesome until I got in the car and then realized that it's right behind my steering wheel. But other than that, it's great.
Yeah.
So did you use the box that mounts on there with the buttons, or did you? I
use a little box that mounted on the buttons, because I thought, I took the steering wheel off and I thought I could get away. They have the additional, the one that has the kind of the aftermarket turn signal lever, but my mount is not the same as that later model GM one. It's a completely different setup, so I had to go with the box. Yeah. And. Yeah. So, and I didn't want to do the slide over the top. I kind of thought that looked kind of cheesy, but so I just did the little box, which is cool. My only gripe is that it's a light gray, kind of a weird light gray, so it kind of doesn't really. It looks pretty plasticky. So, if anybody from Dakota Digital is listening, it should be black. It should be a nice dark black plastic.
I would agree with that.
So I may just pop the cover off and spray it black, but right now I just wanted to get it working. So, yeah. So,
Well, cool.
but yeah, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, and then of course that with having the radio, I had to go get an antenna. So the last hole in the fender is filled because it has an actual honest to goodness antenna sticking out of the fender.
Finally,
so,
the hole. Yeah.
Hey.
yeah. Now I only have
Right
the two dumb ones in the fender because somebody punched them for the dual antennas like on an Impala. So we still have those, but those aren't going to get filled anytime soon.
We put cruise on the Riv at the exact same time you did on your Buick. So
Yeah,
Kelly
I
had
think we
gotten
were
me that
trading
same
ideas.
notes. Yeah, Kelly had gotten me that same Dakota set up for Christmas a few years ago, and it had been sitting on the shelf. And finally, I'm like, we need to do this. So Mike Ford in our shop at work ended up doing the install on it, and he mounted the controller box at the bottom of the original heater box under the hood, so it's just out of eye view. And then that one is using the stock, the reproduction, period correct looking control on the stock. And it's great. It is so nice. You don't realize especially being an old car, because it usually, the leg ergonomics aren't the same as a modern car, and you got to put your foot in a weird spot and bend your leg and your hip bone and everything and hold it there all day. But by doing this, you go, oh, now I can stretch out, and it's kind of nice.
Well, yeah, because nowadays the accelerator pedals, they're all by wire, or they're so much lighter, so it's so much easier. Those heavy return springs on the carburetor when you're trying to hold 75 down the highway, like the couple of road trips me and Q-Ball have taken down to see you, it's just like after about a couple hours, like, my God, I got a sciatica going here. It's ridiculous. Well, it was like the very first road trip we took down that first summer when I had the car running, and we went down. Was that for the first drive-in?
Yeah.
And it was like, I got to put a cruise control on this thing. And I've been obsessed with getting a cruise control on that car for the past 3 years.
Same.
So finally, the thing is they have really thorough instructions, and it's almost intimidating because it's like they have so much information. They have like 9 different ways to connect it to the carburetor. It's almost a little intimidating. And then when you get into it, you're like, yeah, this isn't bad at all. So.
All right. Well, Paul, you're going to be my consultant whenever I pull the trigger on one of these units, because I've been lusting after those for a long time as well.
Absolutely. I mean, sure. I'm happy to help you, dude.
Good.
Anytime.
Right on.
Anytime.
So have you had opportunities to drive the car much this spring?
Yeah, I've been driving it to work most days, and I got to say the cicadas are pissing me off. But one, they're loud, and 2, they keep flying on me while I'm driving the car, which sucks. And I have to throw them out. I think the first day, and they're like landing on me. People are laughing at me because, get out of here, Jesus. But no, I get used to it. So get a little freaked out initially, but now I'm so used to having them buzz around me. But now that I have an actual odometer, I can see I got about 175 miles on the car, going back and forth to work.
Nice.
And stuff
cool,
like
man.
that. So haven't really had it on the highway, but I've taken it on some country roads to make sure the cruise works, like that little video I shot you. That's not too far from my south of my house and stuff like that. So, but itching to go on a cruise on a road trip. So
For sure.
Heck.
We all are.
Absolutely.
It's been a strange year, man. It's been, it feels like springtime in some ways hasn't even started yet, just because normally by this time of year, Kelly and I have gone camping a few times already, and I've done some different events, and this year we've not. It's just been a lot of nights and weekends of getting work done, and so I'm ready to get out on the road. The Riv got a few cool upgrades. It got that cruise control, and finally also got the new front and rear sway bars on.
Oh, that's got to be a big help on that thing.
Some new reaction rod bushings. It's amazing. It is night and day. I can't stress enough how much better the car drives with the sway bars. And then we goose the alignment a little bit. We tried to get as much caster in it as humanly possible so that it goes straighter down the highway. And that thing's almost 100% ready to go, like anywhere. We had a tank issue. We put a new electric fuel pump in the tank. That car has an electric fuel pump from the factory in the tank. It's a 2-year only thing on Rivieras. It's weird, 69 and 70. And I wanted to change that out. So again, our guy Mike Ford dropped the tank and was switching the pump out, and noticed that there was some kind of rusty, scaly stuff in the tank. And there is one replacement out there, but they were like way long on time. So we just did kind of an acid wash and cleaned it all out. and got it all back together, and everything was fine. But I think I'm getting a little piece of something here and there still in the system. I got a fuel filter that you can open up and clean out, and I've had to clean it out a couple times, and it's fixed it, but I'm not sure I trust it yet on a full road trip.
Oh, man.
But it's pretty close.
What could happen? It isn't like you've had that problem before.
Man.
Never
had problems with fuel supply in a van.
No. Or cars breaking on road trips. No, it's never happened to me. Which gets me into a little segue into the Galaxy, which I did a little bit of work on that thing, and we put new seats in it for the second time. This time we're running TMI front and rears. The fronts are their basic. It's a classic seat. It reclines. It's a little wider than the Pro Car seats that I had, so it's a little more comfortable for people of our stature. And then they custom sewed the back seat to match in black vinyl with the same pattern. So that came out really nice. Very happy with that. But then when Mr. Q-Ball came down, threw him the keys yesterday, and he got to drive that car for the first time.
Oh, man. Baby, I've seen the light.
You drove the Galaxy?
Yeah, I tell you what, I am.
I don't even think I've driven the Galaxy, dude.
Yeah, well, you're missing out because you need to drive it. I am a Hydro Boost evangelist now.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you what, that thing will stop anything. Holy cats!
They are
amazing.
impressive.
And the steering box, the tight steering with the Borgeson steering box. I mean, my God, I got to go hand over hand just to go around a curve in my GTO. This thing is just nimble and tight and fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, the car's kind of deceiving because it is, it's a big giant sled just like your Buick, but it's got lowered springs, a front and rear sway bar again, four-wheel disc brakes with the Hydro Boost, and the Borgeson steering box. And I've been kind of valving the steering assist level to be, kind of just enough to where it's not too easy, but still has good road feel. And that thing on the highway, even, in town, going around turns, I have to say it's pretty nice. So
it is nice.
We added a few things to Mike's wish list for the GT.
Yeah, I thought I was just about there, but nope. My list just got longer again.
Well, I'm jealous because now that I fixed all these other major issues, that's probably the thing that bothers me the most is the kind of the lack of precision with the steering. It kind of wanders. I'm always kind of correcting left and right. And I know when you guys had it at V8, you guys said maybe it needs a new column. I don't know. I think, like you say, those cars just didn't have any casters. Kind of what it feels like, because, it seems like when you turn the wheels turn, but it just kind of wanders down the road. But I could deal with it. But it is not anything precision like what you're describing there with the Galaxy. That is for sure. It is exactly what you expect when you get into a 1962 boat. Mine drives.
Yeah, super comfortable, but you got to stay on top of it.
It's more of a rudder than a steering wheel, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I also have a couple of upper control arms that were made by a guy that relocate that spindle to give it more caster as part of overall geometry. So it's basically the Gulfstream mod of pitching them backwards a little bit, and it makes a huge difference. So the nice thing about that is you don't have a whole lot of off-the-shelf parts available for that car, as evidenced by your trim, adventure. Yeah. But when it comes to sway bars, it's just a matter of, most likely finding something that works, which isn't easy. But again, I would start with like B-body Impala stuff, like Impala SS. Because if you get a sway bar in the ballpark, you can modify the links and the frame mount to kind of be adaptable.
Okay. Well, I mean, because that's the weird thing is that car has different suspension than any of the other GM.
It does.
It's got the stupid reaction rods and the single lower, but even if it's close, because the sway bar on the front is like half an inch. It's ridiculous.
Oh, right.
It's like why? It's like a coat hanger.
Why bother?
It's like somebody bent a coat hanger and stuck it on there.
Yeah, I really
like 6,200 pounds in a sway bar out of a freaking Volkswagen. It's hilarious. So.
I don't know why GM did that, and Ford did the same thing. I mean, the bar that was on the Galaxy originally, well, it didn't have one, but the stock one was like 5/8 of an inch. It's like nothing. But the rule to a sway bar is as long as it mounts to the frame somewhere and hits those lower arms, I mean, you're there. So
Yeah. Okay.
And then in the back, because it's a triangulated.
It's a
lower control
basically
arms.
it's a 4-link with a locator.
Yeah, and again, you just need to kind of get close there as well. And I think the bar that's on the Galaxy was originally from a Thunderbird. I think it was like a 90s Thunderbird, and a guy just made different mounts for it, and it ended up working. So, but
maybe
I would
that'll be the
recommend
project for this winter when it's down.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the steering, there's some to be gained by the adjustments in the box. There's some to be gained by rebuilding the box. I don't know what that vintage steering box, if anything, it crosses over with. It's surprising how many of those steering boxes do interchange. You might need a different Pitman. You might need to transfer your Pitman arm from the one to the other, and maybe just look at the spline count, on the input and the fitting size on the box. But like Mike's GTO, for example, you can go get a late 90s Jeep Grand Cherokee box and put it in that, and it bolts right in.
Really?
So It's weird how many of those crossed over. So
yeah, and it's a quicker ratio. You just have to adapt the fittings to go from your standard fittings from your power steering line to the metric fittings of the box. But other than that, you're pretty much golden.
And the column, because you have a non-tilt column in that,
correct,
right? Well, same with Paul, right?
Yeah, mine's not tilt. Yeah, which is fine.
So rather than rebuild that, you could get just a basic, like an I did it tilt column for it eventually, and use your original steering wheel, and just switch that sucker out. And it might be cheaper.
Yeah, I think that's the direction I like to go, because then you can get you can get 4-way flash hazards and an actual turn signal that cancels.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something, huh?
Because that's another thing I can't find that I've been looking for years and years and years is the cancel or the turn signal.
Oh, the cam
mechanics, whatever is in there. Yeah, it's some weird. I mean, it looks like nothing I've ever seen in that car, and half of it's missing because it's just it's dust by now.
7,000 years old. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that sounds like a good 3D print project, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not a bad idea. It's like a little ring with springs on it, and there's like a little wheel that's supposed to sit on, and the wheel's missing, so I've greased it all up, but it's just sloppy, and so I've got it to cancel and turning right. It only won't cancel if you turn left. That's all I know. So I'm halfway there. But to your point, maybe an I did it column, and then have an actual turn signal, and who knows, maybe a cruise control stock.
Oh man.
See,
it's all coming together, man.
I guess I would have to figure out, dimensions and all that, but again, but that's
opportunities abound.
Where you want to go, yeah. So, and as far as the box goes, I think the box is pretty tight, but I don't mind the ratio so much. It's just you've got to constantly turn a little left and now a little right, then a little left. It's like on a newer car, I think the toe is off. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And you do have
but
a
I know
pretty
you
tall
guys put
tire
it on the
that
rack
thing.
there huh? Sorry, I'm talking
You have
too
a
much.
pretty tall tire on that one. So the sidewall is a little soft on those, I think.
Yeah.
So that is going to magnify that a little bit, that left to right, kind of correcting is going to, with the pillow sidewalls. And that's also probably why your speedo is off just a couple, too. I think that tire's taller than the original was.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I guarantee it, yeah. I went down to I went down the lowest driven gear they've got to try to catch up. Of course, as an engineer, I have a spreadsheet, my friend.
Of course.
Right on.
And they don't make a gear small enough, but I'm close. But I could get it right but I have to drop the pan and swap the other end of the other gear off the governor. And I'm not ready to do that. It's summertime. I'm going to drive the car.
That could be another 3D print project.
Oh, they're easy. They're available. It's just a matter of dropping the pan and pulling the governor out. So, yeah. But I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah, well, over the winter it probably wouldn't be bad to change the fluid out anyway. Now that you got a few miles on it finally, and
well, I already changed it over the winter because I took the whole pan off because I wanted to make sure the TV cable was at the right spot. I wanted to visually inspect it and all that. So I have dropped the pan and changed the fluid. So I've actually changed it twice since I've got the car for you. Because the one time it was getting so hot, and then I put the because it was doing the trans cooler through the radiator, so I put a separate one.
Just isolated, yeah.
And that really did the trick. So now it never runs over 160. So after I did that, I dropped the pan and changed the fluid because I knew it had gotten pretty hot a couple of times, really hot. So I'm like, this is bad. So I changed it there, and then again and then I dropped it this time around just to check that TV cable because I think it was too far out. So I adjusted it so that when it was at full throttle, it was right where it was supposed to be, and then added a little set screw in there to hold it. It's
deal.
Yeah. So.
By golly, you are an engineer.
Well, this is one of the few times in his life he's been too far out.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
The shifts are nice and tight. It just shifts early. It just shifts at 4,000, and then with that cam, it really starts to get into it like 3,500, and then you get to 4,000 and it shifts. And you're like, damn it. So I don't know.
This guy's out hot rodding his big sled.
Right.
Well, that's it. I don't really care because I only do it every once in almost never. So, but it's just like, man, the one time you want to, you're like, okay.
But if it would do it right, you would do it more often.
True. Yeah, sure. Then I'd probably be wrapped around a telephone.
See, we wouldn't want that.
No. So it's probably a good thing.
Talking about road trips, this time of year is always when we start to see the online coverage of people doing the power tour, of course. Mm-hmm. And I had posted and sent you that little 8mm video transfer that I finally got around to doing from when you and I did the 1996 power tour.
Yes.
And part of the motivation for that, so this little clip of video, when Paul and I did the 96 tour, I had a little Sony 8mm handy cam, camcorder, and shot a bunch of video that, I told him I'd have edited in like a week, and here we are, 28 years later, and I got one clip done.
All a good time.
Yeah, but it's funny, when you and I did that, there was 37 long haulers.
Is that all?
And there were...
I guess it all filled in on a T-shirt, didn't it? Right? Or maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was several hundred, cars at each stop each night because they promoted the cruise night stop, But going on the road, there was like only 37 cars total that went the whole way. Now there might have been 50 or something at a time because a few people, would jump on and fall off or whatever. But today the power tour's got like 7,000 cars.
Good
literally.
Heavens.
And the online coverage, it just turns into this giant complaint over and over again. I'm too hot. My car's running hot. My car broke. These people don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to run an event. We're waiting in line. It's just on and on and on. And yesterday, somebody actually made a post on a Facebook group for the Power Tour that said, hey, what time do we start posting complaints about everything?
Nice.
And one of the big complaints is that they call it traffic. People are just bringing traffic, and that means it's their minivan or it's their Honda or whatever, basically a non-hot rod vehicle on Power Tour, and they're complaining that this should only be hot rods, and then the other people are like, well, I don't have a hot rod, but I have a Charger, or, a new Challenger or something. I drive that. So this argument persists, and I thought, I'll look back and see what was on the road in '96 because that was year number 2 for that event. And of course, you and I had the traffic with the POS Cavalier that we were driving.
260 air conditioning.
That's it, which is why we elected to not be in the pictures, of all the cool stuff going down the road. But interestingly, that little video clip has a pretty cool variety of cars. It was muscle cars and hot rods and Tri-5s, and there really wasn't. There's one Honda that goes by in the middle. I think the guy was lost, and you called him out. You're like, hey, there goes the Honda. I don't know if you heard that in the clip, but
no, I just listened. I didn't. I watched that at work, so I didn't have the sound on.
Oh, so you need to play that with the sound on because you make two good cameos. One is when you call out the Honda, and then the other is at the very end when you go, yeah, right.
Oh my God. Wow. Johnny Fever.
Yeah.
That's
so
funny.
I also shared that on Facebook on my own personal page, and I think I've got no less than 10 or 12 people that were on that trip with us that have commented.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
It's crazy. You think about it. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys like Todd Ryden, who was at MSD, and Gus Stewart was at Jet Performance, and John Barkley was an ad sales guy at Peterson, and our friend Bill Lyson with that black Chevelle from Wisconsin.
That was the name I was trying to remember. I'm like, Bill Lyson. That dude was hilarious. That guy was so funny.
He still is, yeah.
Yeah.
And
he still is. He's still around, sure.
Dave Wilby out of Philly, who owns a bar. Him and his friend did it, and then some of the the bigger names, Trepanier and Jack Chisenhall, and those guys. So it's pretty amazing to think that obviously the Power Tour has changed my existence several times. Obviously that trip turned into starting my career. Thanks to you're holding me to my commitment to do that trip. But then even on the ancillary of just the people that I know today, some were there. So
yeah. Well, like I said in your text after I watched the podcast, I listened to the podcast, watched the podcast because it was on YouTube, where you were going through that whole story about me showing up at your house. No, we got to go. We got to be in LA in 4 days. Your bucket's leaking or whatever you said. I mean, you'd have been in like I said before, you'd have been in the one way or another. You'd have been in the industry, I'm sure of it. But yeah, I'm glad we had a blast. And like you say, it was just so grassroots at that time. It was just fun, and I think you're right. It took a couple of days for people to realize, like, oh, these two idiots are actually doing this. They're actually here still. Like I said, sleeping in a tent, and then the one guy, the guy from Splitfire, who felt bad for us and let us sleep on his floor in his room, and
Jeff Bolin,
Jeff Bolin, that's right, and we were overserved almost every evening, thanks to the expense accounts of all those guys, because we didn't have any money for beer, So,
no. And Jim Savis helped us out quite a bit there as Hot Rod publisher.
I didn't know who the hell these people were, and obviously you knew a little bit because you were smart enough to talk them up. I was just an ignoramus getting drunk.
Well, we have told this story on this show before, but what the podcast Paul's referring to is called Car Guy Confessions. And it's pretty good. It's hosted by Steve Strope from Pure Vision, another guy who I think I actually met on the Power Tour in '98. Cam Benty, who's a former magazine guy, Carcraft, Hot Rod, a bunch of them, and Jeff Smith, who was editor of Hot Rod for a while, then Chevy High Performance, and Jeff's kind of synonymous with definitely with Chevrolet Performance, but performance American cars. And
one of my heroes.
He's one of all our heroes. Jeff's a great guy, and he did a lot of really cool stuff. And at the Grand National Roadster Show in January, I think it was, they were recording some episodes of the Car Guy Confessions, and Strope was off judging for the Grand National Roadster AMBR award or something. And they're like, "Can you sit in for him?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And I didn't intend it to, but it just turned into recanting that whole story. Basically, that's where you and I first met Jeff Smith, was on that same trip.
Yeah.
So he's another one. And he never really heard the whole nuts and bolts of, all that stuff. So we kind of recanted that whole story, and it was a lot of fun. And it's still fresh in my mind talking to him about the Mighty Mouse supercharged 302 that he built, that you were like, that poster, magazine was stuck to your wall of like the ideal engine to build, and how you remember every detail about it today. I remember a lot of them, and he still has the thing.
Yeah, I remember the look in his face when I'm asking him, like, detailed cam specs and compression ratio and what kind of ring package and what do you do for your gap and ring gap and how'd you put that thing together? What did you decide? He's going to be like, what is wrong with you? So I think I had him cornered at, like, we were at some drive-in at one of the stops, right? And I'm like asking him.
At a Hardee's, yeah.
Yeah, there we go, at a Hardee's, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. And he worked with Kenny Duttweiler on that motor, and Duttweiler is one of the all-time engine geniuses. And I've had the great fortune to hang out with him a lot and spend a bunch of time at Bonneville and at PRI and other stuff, and And to see these people go from the pages in print to becoming real people, and then to becoming people that you end up being kind of friends with is crazy. So
well, your peers, frankly. I mean, he's a peer for you, so that's awesome.
Well, yeah, I guess we did work together and still do occasionally, And
yeah.
So, Mike, I don't know if I told you this, but I sent Paul the link to that podcast, and I go, "You got to check this out." And his response was, "Again, why don't you give somebody else a chance and get off of that thing?" Another podcast.
Another one.
That's right. I did say that, didn't I?
Oh, it was hilarious.
That's beautiful.
Well, what do you want? Like 7 podcasts?
Yeah,
you got the
like
Stubborn
that.
German. You got this one. You've got the Speed Week.
Yeah, the Bonneville
Bonneville
the
one.
Hammer Down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the SEMA one now.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't. Yeah, I have to follow the SEMA one. I got to check that one out. I forgot to do that. Damn. Podcast Ostie over here.
Yeah,
Jesus.
right.
Man,
Well,
can't swing a dead cat and not hit Ostie's podcast.
a digital dead cat. I guess I always just wanted to be able to talk out of my ass, and now I can.
Radio production. That's what you did. You went from the oldie station in Normal, Illinois, to podcasting yourself all over the world and the galaxy.
Hey, why don't you go podcast yourself somewhere, pal?
Although now, when I answer the trivia, I don't get a free bag of chips like you used to give away when you were.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that was a great one. I don't know if you ever heard that story, Mike, but my first paying radio gig was at WIHN Radio in Normal, Illinois. And it was a commercial station. I was on 6 p.m. to midnight, 5 nights a week, playing oldies. Mm-hmm. And I ran a contest.
Oldies, like Dick Biondi oldies.
Oh, nice. Like old Dusties.
Yeah.
Well, Dusties were, technically are kind of the R&B oldies.
Uh-huh.
This was like... this is Martha and the Vandellas, and
Oh, okay.
This is the Big Bopper oldies, that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm 20 years old. I don't know anything about this stuff, and I'm playing it. But the station manager comes in and he's like, "Hey, you should do a contest this hour." I go, "Okay, cool. What are we giving away?" And he's like, "Oh, we got some potato chips." And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, this brand Kelly's potato chips. They're a new sponsor. We're trying to upsell them on some commercials. So mention them on the air and give some chips away." I'm like, "Okay,
Nice.
great." But he halfway wasn't wrong, because this was a college town. It was a commercial station, but a college town, and people do stuff for chips.
Yeah, you need a bag of chips.
The contest I had was complete this sentence, right? This lyric. So it was, she wore an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot blank. Right? 5th caller, you win the chips.
You win the Kelly's chips. All right.
That's it, man. So, and I have this on tape somewhere. I should probably pull this up. Answering the phone, so you hear this click. Oldies 96.7.
Hi, I'm calling to answer the question.
Alrighty, you're number 1. Call back again.
Oh, all right.
Alrighty. Oldies 96.7. Hi, you're number 2. Oldies 96.7. Hi, you're number 2.
Oh, okay.
Oldies 96.7. Hi, you're number 3.
Okay.
Oldies 96.7. Hi, you're number 4. And when I get to the 5th caller, I go, Oldies 96.7. Hi, you're our winner. Oldies 96.7. Hi, you're the 5th caller.
I'm constipated.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
You are our winner.
For what?
Oh, I'm sorry, what? And it turns out that the guy that called in was our other roommate, Kyle,
Nice.
who had no idea we were having a contest.
He was just calling you.
He was just calling to give me a hard time on the air, and turned out that he was the 5th caller, so he's the winner.
Nice.
Did you even know I'm doing a contest?
No, I do not.
Well, okay. I'll give you a chance. If you can correctly identify this lyric, you're going to win yourself a bag of Kelly's potato chips. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. If you can correctly finish this statement. She wore an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot blank. What is it?
Could it be bikini?
It is, you win.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yes, what's your name, please?
Kyle Lentz.
Kyle, where are you calling from?
Linden.
Excellent, you win, buddy. I can't believe it. Did you really not know that there's a contest going on?
No.
You won. I'm not pulling your leg or nothing. Hold on a minute, would you?
So I asked him, I'm like, you got to play along here. I'm like, so, hey, Kyle, what are you going to do with these great tasting potato chips?
I packing for them, hopefully.
You just blew it. I can't even use it.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right.
You're upselling that ad for sure now, buddy.
Yeah.
Woo-wee.
That's right. I should contact Kelly's Potato Chips, see if they want to sponsor the
They're
podcast.
still in business. Holy cow.
Yeah, that might have put them under.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think we found out about it after the fact, and like the fact that one Kyle called, but the fact that we're like, wait a minute, you had a contest where you're giving away a bag of potato chips. What kind
What kind of loser are you?
who calls a radio station hoping to win a bag of potato chips? Drives
Well,
in and
5
picks them
people
up.
did. I'll tell you right now.
Well, 4 technically.
Ollie's 96.7 high. We've got our winner.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, bummer. All right.
Don't worry about it.
Bye.
I turned away a few more after him too. So.
Oh, did you? Oh, wow, that's impressive.
People love to win
Okay.
stuff. That's the takeaway. It doesn't matter what it
Yeah,
is.
that's true. Free
Everybody
stuff.
just wants
Free
to be
stuff.
a winner, including me. Someday it'll happen.
Wah, wah,
Well,
wah.
Cue Ball made a few upgrades on the GTO, also in the dash.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Let's hear about it, dude.
Last summer the AC started getting wonky on me. The clutch, AC compressor clutch, started slipping, and it's funny because I was driving on the road, AC blowing. I'm like, man, I really love having this AC in this car. I am not kidding you. 2 seconds later, it crapped out on me.
You were like, I love this AC, and as soon as you put the period at the end of the sentence, it stopped blowing cold air.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
I'll show you.
You won't take me for granted anymore.
And we think it's only Facebook that's listening to what we're saying. You know, your car.
Yeah, so I was able to. I found the proper clutch for that A6 compressor, and I had to buy a puller tool for it, and got the new clutch in there, and it runs nice. Another problem I was having was the blower motor only went on one speed, so I didn't the fan
Just
switch.
like me, baby.
Yeah, man, fast.
Off. At one speed, and it's all off.
Yeah, so I picked up a new blower motor switch because I replaced it once before with a used unit from our good friend Frank at Frank's Pontiac Parts in Thousand Oaks or 1029 Palms, California, wherever the heck he is. Anyway,
Some number, some city.
yeah, some place in California in the desert. You know how it is.
1,000 palms, 29 oaks.
29 Oaks, all the
Some
palms,
number,
all the
some
oaks.
city.
So.
And used parts.
So, but the interesting thing about these new reproduction blower motor switches is that the board that's on there is a different configuration than what the factory had. So you have to take your existing harness and clip the connectors off and put new like spade connectors on and insert them into a new switch holder that comes with the switch, and then you can plug it in, and it gives you a diagram on what to do. So I put it in there, and Bob's your uncle. I got all 4 fan speeds again.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty
Awesome.
cool. So to do that though, I had to pull out the whole instrument cluster, which kind of stinks. I also saw that the slider cable to go from hot to cold it had been cobbled together in some years past with like real fine wire. So I just did a quick little bit of research, and I found that cable is reproduced, so I got a new one of those cables. I'm going to put that cable on and then get the dash put back in and start
I
driving
don't know. It
around.
sounds like a good time to put cruise control in it.
Yeah, well, it would be.
See?
So another thing I
And,
have
and
is...
fix a clock.
Right, fix a clock. Well, I don't have a clock in there anymore. I put a tachometer in where the clock goes. So... But I did get a couple of years ago the whole main air duct that comes off of the center section of the climate control that feeds all the vents had been missing since I owned the car. When my dad had it, it just disintegrated because it's plastic and it was in Texas, and it's brittle and old. So I found another used one, and it comes with all the vent extensions and all that. So now I'm gonna put that in and be able to have vents, air coming out of the vents properly instead of coming out of the center, right over the center console. And you get cold air out of that, but it just freezes your leg when you're driving anywhere.
Up your shorts.
Up your shorts. Yep, pretty much. So that's been my main thing I've been focusing on, and I gotta replace the transmission pan and gasket.
Again?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Well, it's an aftermarket pan,
Uh-huh.
and I just can't get it to not leak. And
But I thought you had the new pan with the magic gasket, the great stuff or the right stuff,
Yeah,
or the
still
whatever John Glenn invented to stop your pan
it
from
still
leaking.
didn't. That only works with holding harmonic balancers together, apparently.
Oh,
Right.
it doesn't.
So
It's dissolvable. It could be dissolved by transfluent.
yeah, maybe, but it still has a drip. So I have a factory pan that our buddy Yardley gave me, and I got a better gasket, and hopefully that'll keep the transmission fluid where it belongs.
All right.
So
That's
those are
where
my-
you
You
want
think
it.
because it's an aftermarket pan, it's not straight? Is it cast or something?
Maybe. No, it's a stamped metal pan. It's not
Okay.
it's not as robust as a factory pan is.
I gotcha. All right.
So,
It's having an allergic reaction to the car.
yeah, pretty much.
I heard you
culture
say you're not going to leak, and it
clash.
says, "I'll show you."
I'll show you.
Yeah, I was talking to the air conditioner and said, "Hey, watch this."
Check this out.
I'm sorry I found that so funny. This air conditioner, I love
Oh
this thing.
man, I'm so happy about this. All of a sudden, it's just hot air coming out of it. I'm like, you suck. I open the hood and you see the compressor struggling to turn. I'm like, that
man.
stinks.
That's funny.
Do you remember that primered 72 Skylark I had? The one
Me?
that,
The sniff.
yeah,
Sewer sniff.
no, that was the green one. That was my
Oh, that was the green
dad's,
one?
the first
Oh.
one. Yeah, this is the one that I bought, and we got in like 91, and we did
Yeah, yeah.
90, and we took it down to
Okay.
the coin.
Yes, that would got a Ford motor if it don't do brake torque.
Yeah, all the guys had to pick it up to do the burnout because it was a 352 barrel. Do you remember when the AC clutch let go in that thing, and it
No.
did a stationary rubber damper burnout under the hood?
Oh no.
So the rubber ring, the balance ring on
Yeah.
the clutch. Yeah, well, that was making contact with the compressor body.
Really?
And, oh yeah, it was bad. And I'm just driving, and it's like, yeah, I smell rubber. I'm looking around, and all of a sudden the car's filling up with smoke, and there's smoke pouring out under the hood and everything else. I open the hood, and that thing is like there's melting rubber droplets hitting the ground. The thing is just.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it got hot. So out came the pocket knife for the belt, and that was the end of that.
Ouch.
That's how we,
Did
how
that
we
car
fixed
actually
stuff
have
back
working
then.
air conditioning?
Not at
Or did
that
it just
point.
spin? You just had a compressor on it that was just spinning.
It did work, and it leaked, and then it.
And then it
I don't know if
stopped
the switch didn't know or something. It had gauged,
Okay.
and it bound up real good, and that was the end of it. Yeah, poor car. Yeah.
No, the only smoke story I remember is have you ever told a scamp toll booth story to Mr. Mike Clark on this podcast?
Of the
About the
which
scamp?
which one? Which one?
When we've got 6 guys in the Plymouth scamp driving on the tri-state at about 80 miles an hour, following this car up to
Okay.
the toll booth, and that was back when you had to stop. Right? I'll
Oh,
let you
my.
take over because you're better at telling stories than I am.
Well, this was the Root Beer Brown 1975 Plymouth Scamp that my dad bought for my sister, actually. And she apparently deserved a lot nicer. So that's when he traded in our first van in exchange for a shiny tan Mercury Lynx.
Ew.
We won't go there. Yeah.
Gross.
It looked like polished silly putty was the
course
color,
it did.
So I end up with a Scamp, which 2 years before he paid a whopping $250 for. So I mean, this was quite a machine. And 2 225 slant six, tan bench seat, tan vinyl top. 1975 crash bumpers. The big giant.
Yes.
So anyway, we go to the Lake County swap meet or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Up in northern Illinois, and there's 6 of us, 3 across in the front and the back, and it's the size of a dart. Scamp is a twin brother to a dart. And it took, even driving that thing by yourself, it took a half an hour to get up to 60 miles an hour. And when you got 6 people in it, it's got everything it takes to get up to highway speed. And we're cruising along on the tollway, and we're doing 65 or so, because it wouldn't go much faster than that. And I'm right behind like a 988 Riviera, I think. And I'm a little too close to him, but we're all moving. And this guy does this thing where at the very last second, he changes lanes, and right in front of him is a line of stopped vehicles for the toll booth.
Oh, no.
Holy nuts. And I put both feet through that brake pedal and braced myself, and this stupid car locks up all 4 wheels. And the only thing that saved our ass was the rumble strip in the pavement, the things they mold in there. That was the last thing that stopped us before impacting the car in front of us.
Oh, my.
So this car had oh, yeah. Yeah. It had like 185 tires on it,
Sure.
like bicycle tires on all 4. So there's squealing at this high-pitched skid. And we're slowing down, and we finally hit this rumble strip and stop, and then we get passed by a cloud of tire smoke from our skid.
Like 5 seconds later, it was a whoosh. We all look at each other like we almost died and just start dying laughing.
Yeah, it took us a few minutes. Nobody said a word at the beginning because we're all kind of in shock. What the hell just happened?
I think you got that thing stopped, no kidding, 3 inches from the bumper of that car in front of us. It was a miracle. We did not go through the windshield because none of us are wearing a seatbelt.
Really? I mean, that shocks me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
I think we were all 18.
I don't think it had seatbelts.
17, 18. Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember if it did or not.
We were definitely in high school. Yeah.
Well, so there was a couple of good burnout or smoke stories with that car. One of them was the horseshoe burnout that I did in the church parking lot, where I was able to light that right rear tire off and just do a U-turn, basically. It did not like a drifting, like spin high speed, just a 1 mile an hour.
Nice meander around.
Yeah, semicircle. And then, of course, the guy that maintains the church grounds came out and was not happy. So that was one. But the other fun one was I used to deliver pizzas with that car. Remember that was the Domino's car?
Yeah.
And I parked it up against the sidewalk, the curb in front of the Domino's in the strip mall. So up against that parking block in front, so the grill is basically up against the glass window of the Domino's.
Oh, my God.
I just lay into this thing, and it just does this giant stationary burnout in the parking spot. And after all the smoke rolls away, I back up and park it in the spot right next to it and just got out. And then the cops show up. And they see this smoking imprint in the pavement, and they're like, "What happened there?" I'm like, "I don't know. Guy left."
Some guy split, man. I mean, clearly this car couldn't do
is
that.
filled with tire smoke. All the pizzas taste like burnt rubber.
That was
pepperoni and Bridgestone.
mesquite
So good.
smoked pizza. It's a new thing they're coming out.
You're ahead of your time.
Savor the flavor of
We had some
blackened
winners back in high
Domino's.
school. We had some sweet cars back in those days. Boy, I tell you. Boy, howdy.
The Scamp was a toilet.
The Lynx was worse. I just
The
don't
Lynx was
understand
kind of
who goes into a dealership and looks at that car and says, yes, I
Yes,
must
please.
buy this car. I will finance this car. I want it so bad. Like, oh my God.
Well,
Who sat at Ford or Mercury and decided we're going to build this car? We're going to call and spend millions of dollars on dueling to make this car.
Yep.
well, remember that was the world
Disaster.
beater, is what they called that car. The
Yeah.
Escort, of course. But I think it all harkens back to what you said at the top of the show when we were talking about the reverse rotation clock.
Yeah.
I think that was my dad's way of taking out his aggression against my sister. Here, drive this. and be quiet. You think that Plymouth is bad. You should drive this.
You want a new car? Here's your new car. There you go.
And then I got to suffer because that was the end of the van.
Not
For
anymore.
Not
for
anymore, I was
32
just gonna
years,
say.
yeah. Well,
And you've got the tire cover now.
Oh,
yeah,
that
the old
thing is
style tire
epic.
cover.
Yeah.
You see the license plate?
I did, but I can't remember. What was it? Was it old style or no? It
It
was
says out of style,
out of style. That's right. Yes, that's right. I couldn't. Sorry.
but STYL. You know.
You can really see the
Very
disparity between memories of Osty, who can remember what car he almost ran into in 1988, and I can't remember the license plate we looked at 2 weeks ago.
From 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty sad. But, that's why I keep him around. He's my memory. He's my hard drive.
All right. Well, I'm sure our loyal listener has enjoyed our trip down memory lane and those antics that go along with it. So we appreciate you hanging through that. But what they really want to know is all the riveting answers to our trivia questions. So, Mr. Cue Ball, well, Paul, you had the
went
first
first.
one. So
I did.
What was the question?
I asked you, what is the oldest surviving American auto brand? And then, as a bonus, who founded it and what year was it founded?
Yeah, and we're both wrong, Mike. But
Yep,
go ahead.
I'm sure we are.
I think Mike said Ford in 1902,
Yes, I did.
and Osty said Dodge in 1901.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh,
And I don't know if
yes.
either of you tried for
Yeah.
a founder.
Dodge Brothers.
Dodge Brothers, that's
Yeah.
right. You said the Dodge Brothers, yes.
I said Henry
Did you
Ford.
And you said Henry. Well, yeah, okay, Henry Ford.
Duh.
Well, there's my memory going, buddy.
Good,
I
good.
remember that one. I didn't write it down, so it doesn't count. I didn't duly note it.
Someday we will make a T-shirt, by the way.
It says, dude, that would be some merch. I would buy VA
I would-
Podcast duly noted. That is the first T-shirt. Let's print it out.
Right, that would be
Here.
awesome.
First one to
Here
buy
first.
it. All right, are you ready for the answer?
Lay it
You're
on us.
You won't believe it. It is. It was founded in 1903, May 19th of 1903, and it is Buick.
Buick.
It is Dave
Buick.
Buick, no less.
That's right. That's why I thought it was so funny because the answer is
man.
Dave Buick.
Dave Buick.
It is Dave Buick. David Buick. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Gosh.
Yes. David Dunbar
that's the
Buick.
one- Dunbar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
They beat Ford by a month because Ford was June 16th of 1903 and Buick was May 19th
Oh my
of
gosh.
1903. Same year, but it was a month early.
Well,
So-
heck.
my standby trivia question was a Buick question, of course, to try and throw Paul, but I couldn't substantiate the answer. But the question was going to be, where are the most Buicks made today?
China.
Oh.
And it's
China.
China.
Right? China.
Yeah,
China.
it's China, and then and I think then the U.S. and then South Korea.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know China sells the most. I don't know. Do they make them there too?
They make them
must,
there and they
right?
import them here, for crying out loud.
Oh yeah.
brother.
Okay.
You got to
All right.
read your labels. You know, it's like going to the grocery store.
Sure.
See where
Organic.
Buick
made
comes
in
from.
China Buick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was a great question.
And the actual crest is his family crest from Scotland, believe it or not. So it started
Right,
off
with
as a
the-
red shield, and then
the deer
when they
on
came
it.
out with the List Saber, Invicta, and Electra, they went the red, white, and blue
Huh.
crests. Yep. So
Very cool.
fun
Yes.
Buick facts.
with the shields and the it's like an elk or a deer or something that's on it.
Yeah, I don't know really what it is. I look at it all the time. What is that? I don't know. Now it's all modern.
We're going to do a quick interruption in our answers because I just got a text from Mr. Brian Wibbenmeyer on a day 3 update from the Hot Rod Power Tour.
Cool.
Oh, awesome.
So I've not
Breaking
previewed
news.
This just in
I thought you were
from the headlines. Day 3, it's getting warmer. Temps are going up, and I'm seeing the drivers tan big time. Top of legs and left arm. Remember that, Paul?
That's another funny one. So we drove out to LA and back. Did you always drive in the day and I drove at night, right? So
Yeah.
the right side of my right ear and your left ear was sunburned, and my right arm and your left arm was sunburned.
That's
and the
awesome.
right and the inside, the opposite, we were white as a ghost because we never got the sun on the other side. Hilarious.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Brian goes on to say another good route with 2-lane roads, but wow, a rural stop sign or short cycle light can cause a huge backup. Well, that's for sure. The line of the day: dude larger than me from Wisconsin in a mid-1970s Pontiac Grand Am said, quote, "I've never been so happy to get out of my own car." Apparently, tired butt syndrome was happening. He made his buddy drive today. The venue was okay, another asphalt lot next to a football stadium. Tomorrow is off to National Trail Raceway, and we are taking an alternative route before Cincinnati to avoid interstate construction zones. So that is from Brian. Pretty cool.
Right on, Brian.
And it ends in Indy, right? The last stop's in Indy?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, so Q-Ball, your question.
Yes, sir. All right, boys. I asked you, what was the first car company to offer one of their models with AC as standard equipment? And the bonus was, what was that model? And Paul said the Cadillac Coupe de Ville in 1955.
Sure.
And Kevin said the Packard in the 1953 Packard Caribbean.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, no. The first car company to offer AC as standard equipment in one of their models was our good friends at American Motors Company.
What?
AMC with the 1968
The Weather Eye.
AMC Ambassador.
Oh, my God.
It was called the Weather Eye
Yep.
AC, right? Yeah. So I got that part.
Well, there was
Weather
actually
eye?
there was
What
a
is that
actually
supposed to mean?
well that was the name of the climate control system.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give away another trivia question here, but because I thought it was interesting. There was a setting on late 60s and early 70s to mid 70s AMCs called Desert Only for air conditioning equipped models, and what that did is it ran the compressor nonstop. It wouldn't cycle the AC compressor, and if you were in a humid climate, it would freeze up the evaporator because it was constantly running. So you had to run it in dry climate, like the desert.
Huh. No way.
That's impressive, yeah. Let's confuse
Weather
our
eye.
drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether I turn it on or not, I'm still driving the AMC.
Yep.
It still froze up the coils.
Yeah, how about it?
Whether I'm still
Whether
driving. Whether I am hot or cold, it's still an AMC.
Very nice. Very
I
nice.
think I like that better than, what did I say? It's hot in the Caribbean, but not
Right.
anymore.
Not my Caribbean.
Okay. Well, good. We got that wrong. All right. So my
Throw
question, I
Steve.
think, was: you've heard of a camshaft, you've heard of a performance cam, you've heard of a race cam, a 3/4 race cam. Well, what's a quarter speed cam? And what did Paul say? I had you write this
Paul
down.
said it was for the high speed in the quarter mile.
Like a quarter mile, like a quarter horse.
Yes, a quarter horse, indeed. And I
And
said
the
it
cue ball
was
said,
it was for NASCAR, slow down the valve train
Multiple
speed
NASCARs.
on the backstretch of the Talladega Superspeedway.
so I
baby
kind of
Dukes.
think cue ball is kind of right. A
Oh,
quarter
yeah?
speed cam.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hold
There's
everything
something,
here.
there's something wrong with my connection. I just think I
happened.
heard Osty say that Q was right. I think I need to reload my app.
Yeah, something happened here.
So I'm not sure it was NASCAR, but as you know, in a traditional V8 engine with an overhead valve, single camshaft configuration, the cam spins at half the engine RPM.
Correct.
And this was, if you can envision a camshaft that had lobes, that had two lobes,
Two lobes.
per. Right? So it had, at 180 degrees, there was a lobe and a lobe on each cam lobe, right?
Following.
Right.
So they were able to slow the camshaft rotation speed down to a quarter of the engine speed, which did put less stress on the valve train to a degree, because you still had to open the valves and close them at the right match to the RPM. So it didn't stabilize the valve train that much, but it slowed the camshaft down for some beneficial reason, I'm not sure. And I got this out of a 1964 Hot Rod magazine that I'm currently reading in my office. So I'll get the rest of the story later. But the question was, what is a quarter speed cam? And that's what it is. So it is designed to stabilize and slow down the valve train. So
I'm
there
going
you
to
go.
take that
So this
win.
is This is if somebody comes in your office and they catch you reading the 1964 Hot Rod instead of working. You're like, no, I'm doing show prep. It's show prep.
Yes, I legitimize my existence. Exactly.
Excellent.
Come on.
Excellent.
Can't you see?
Do you have that video from 96 Power Tour cut up yet? I'm doing show prep.
Can't you see I'm busy? It's between that and writing commercials for a car company that's been defunct since the 60s.
I'm really onto something here, though.
I've got a lot on my plate here, pal. You cut me some slack.
This is how you build a business from the ground up.
Take note.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
Oh, good Lord.
I was taking a break.
My car ran out of gas. I had a flat tire.
Well, there was cicadas,
Yeah,
locusts.
yes, there was.
Can you get out of the can soon? Stop reading the magazine.
That's it. Give someone else a chance, right?
Don't use a hair.
All right. Well,
All right.
that
Whatever
was
listener
fun.
you have has lost. We've lost.
Left the building. The app has been deleted. So anyway, well, this was fun. I'm glad to hear the Buick progress and the GTO, and we will have to schedule a road trip because God knows our listener wants to hear more about what we do.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's that.
That's our niche, right? That's our shtick.
That's it. We'll play Find the Guy with the one T-shirt we end up making.
There we go.
So go to v8radio.com, subscribe to that email list, because if we do make this shirt, you'll be amongst the first to know. How
The
about
fifth
that?
caller is going to win our new V8 radio shirt.
I'm telling
And
you,
chips.
duly noted. V8 podcast. That is gold. Gold,
That
baby.
is gold.
Gold.
Solid gold, baby.
Whether I listen or not.
Yes. Oh, the ideas are flowing from us now.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Well, this has been the VA Radio Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. If you dug this, go ahead and subscribe. I'm not sure why you would, but we had fun anyway.
Still, please do.
Exactly. And until next time, for Mr. Mike Cuball Clark, Mr. Paul V. Subar, I'm Kevin Osty, reminding you to, whether you listen or not, always keep the shiny side up. And we'll talk to you next time on VA Radio.